You okay there, Jerry?
Yep.
Hey, you're
One
welcome.
last look at.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'll bring this regular council meeting to order, March the 1st, 7 p.m. And to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Stahelis. And the next order of business, please.
Yes, your worship, we'll move on to number 2, introduction of late items.
Any late items from council this evening? None being, thank you. Next order, please.
Yes, your worship, we'll move on to number 3. Could we have approval of the agenda, please?
Moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Hooper. Call the question. All in favor? Everybody in favor? Thank you. And carry on, please.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 4, adoption of council minutes. We have the regular council meeting minutes of February 16, 2021 here for adoption.
And moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Hooper. Any errors or omissions? None. Call the question. All in favor? Everybody in favor? Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Yes, your worship, we'll move right on to number 8 as there is no...
Oh, any business? 5?
I'm sorry, your worship, yes. Item number 5, business arising from the minutes, please.
Any business from councillors arising from the minutes? None, thank you. Next, carry on, please.
Yes, sorry, your worship. We'll move on to number 8 as there is nothing on the consent agenda and we do not have any delegations this evening. We have a letter from the City of Abbotsford. This is regarding postponement for the Abbotsford 2021 or 2022, pardon me, 55 plus BC Summer Games. Here for receipt.
Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Palmer. Call the question. All in favor? Thank you. The next order of business, please.
Yes, your worship. Number 9, is there any business arising from this correspondence?
Any business, Councillor Piper?
Thank you, worship. I'd like to see us send a letter back to the City of Abbotsford supporting them and the change that's been imposed on them. And looking forward to seeing the dragon boating come out this way for the BC Summer Games in 2023.
Yes, great. Before I call for a seconder, Councillor Palmer, you had comment?
No, I was just going to make the motion as well. That's yeah.
You will second the motion?
I shall
Councillor
do so.
Palmer? Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Palmer, that we send a letter to the City of Abbotsford. Any further discussion on that? Call the question. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 10, reports of councillors, committees, committee of the whole and commission.
Councillor Hooper?
Yeah, good evening all. On the 19th, 24th and 26th of February, I took part in the video conference and training with the CNIB. On the 17th of February, I attended the C2C meeting. 19th of February, I was invited to attend a block watch meeting by the Harrison Residents and Crime Watch Association. On the 24th of February, I attended a webinar training held by the Road Safety at Work, Secure Your Safety. Also on February the 24th, I took part in the Pink Shirt Day. On the 25th of February, I attended a webinar held by the Taramac Institute. And on the 26th of February, I attended a LGBTQ2 Academy Zoom meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Palmer?
I attended the Fraser Valley Regional Library Board meeting, I think it was on February 18th, after last council. And I also attended on behalf of Councillor Vital, the Fraser Valley Regional District Board Indigenous Affairs Committee, which had a meeting last week. I actually missed the election for new officers, which is a short meeting for technical reasons. I couldn't log on, but I managed to listen to a very interesting report after that about some initial land offerings, etc. So that's the two things that I have done in the last 2 weeks related to my portfolio.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Piper.
Thank you, Your Worship. Within my portfolio, on February 17th, I attended the Let's Mott Community to Community meeting. Was held on Zoom. And then on February 18th, I attended online the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting with Mountain Institution. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Next order of business, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll move on to number 11, reports from the mayor.
Thank you. I have a few reports here to make. As all the council knows, and I'm sure some of the public knows by now, that the 4 communities in the Fraser Valley were awarded $1.8 million. Our share was $350,000 for the Greenway Trail and the McCombs Trail. That was good news. It came in. I'd like to give a big thank you to our staff who do all the background on applying for the grants and applications for these important grants, and also to our MLA Kelly Padden for her support as well. At the 25th of February board meeting, Fraser Valley Regional District, following on what Councillor Palmer said, we went into a the Regional Indigenous Committee moved into a closed meeting to do with other areas of First Nations, and this was one for myself for that evening of 3 closed meetings. So closed meetings are held when necessary, of course. The actual report for the open board is basically a lot of variances and that sort of area for the electoral areas. And it was a long day, but a lot was accomplished. There's just one word I want to make now for when we get to questions from the public. Even as Councillor Palmer just mentioned, there are at times technical problems when we're using either Zoom or conference calls. I myself last week had 2 Zoom calls where we had technical problems, and 1 conference call, and I think the minister nearly gave up on us because of all the background noise. So I think with Zoom, if I'm correct here, it's a matter of just getting off mute, unmuting yourself and pressing video. Is that correct?
There's
Rhonda?
also the raise hand function that's shown at the bottom of the screen, and sometimes in the participants panel next to your name under the more function, that will indicate to me that they would like to raise, that they would like to ask a question.
Okay, thank you. So just be patient when you come through, and they would appreciate that. I'd like to, I'm sure all council agrees with me that since the heavy sandstorm that we had out there 2 or 3 weeks ago, our crew's been extremely busy cleaning up, and they've done an outstanding job on the beach area, even using our pooper scooper to pick up the sand. It does a really good job. And now that they're cutting all the edges of the grassed areas, and it's they worked extremely hard on cleaning up along Esplanade there. And I think a letter would be in order, if council agrees with me, to send to our crew to thank them for the outstanding work during these difficult times to work out there, still with COVID, and also the amount of cleanup over and above the remainder of the duties that they have to carry on with. Do you need any motion for that? Was that good enough for staff? That's fine, thank you. one thing that came out from the Fraser Valley Regional District, and also came out from the parks in Vancouver, that in January in Vancouver alone, 1.8 million people, visitations they had there. In our park system with the Fraser Valley Regional District, there was 146,119 visitors. That's up 137% from 2020. So people are getting out there, as being told by Dr. Bunny, to get out into the fresh air where it's open and get some air in your lungs. The Agassiz Harrison Community Services, I notice I have a very good thing going here. I picked it up from the newspaper with the 55+ seniors resource kits with helpful information on programs, plus comfort and safety items. I think that's a great idea, above all the other services that the community services carries out for our area. Today, as most of you probably heard, the big startup of the vaccinations will be beginning within the next 15 days, and they're all broken down in phase 2 for the different age groups, depending on your age at the moment. And following that, we're still waiting for information in regards to locations. As soon as we get that, we'll get that on our website as well. We're not sure where the locations are going to be. There's 400,000 vaccinations they're going to be doing between March and April. And one thing that came out on the news tonight is for the folks to watch out for the scammers. They're out there already trying to call and say they're from the health department. They want your driver's license and other personal information. Just put the phone down, because the health department will not ask for any of that sort of personal information, except obviously for your medical number. So that's ongoing. Hope to hear soon where the locations are going to be. On the 19th of February, the 22nd of February, much the same with the Division of Family Practice and also with Fraser Health, with Dr. Brodkin, Chief Medical Officer, just again regarding the vaccinations and how they're going to be put out, and those who are unable to get to the vaccination centers or have home visits, they will be treated at home. And there will be 29 municipalities and 32 First Nations. Max vaccinations, when they start, will be 7 days a week, which will that will come out with more information as time moves on. And the same with Division of Family Practice. One thing that they put in place, working with the Rotary Club in Chilliwack, is to have bags with books for the isolated seniors. I thought that was a very good idea. They're going to try and get that program going out there. So that was those two. On the, what day was this, Madeline? Oh, on February the 23rd, we had the roundup with the 38 communities with Minister Osborne. She's been doing now on a regular basis every month. And again, most of the conversations from the other communities was in regards to mental health, housing, and support, and the lack of supporting housing, and working with the mental health was a big area, where certain areas like Gibson's and the smaller ones do not have the facilities to deal with these sort of situations. So they were asking for help. Again, a very good meeting, except for about 3 communities. Everybody was on board. That was, of course, a conference call, which was carried out on the heels of Selena Robinson. And the last, but not least, is I had a with the CAO. We had a Zoom meeting with our MLA, Kelly Padden, for our first get-together. meet each other, and basically just to get to know each other and what our upcoming projects were and what help we needed. And our CEO had made up, the staff had made out a request for certain areas to do with the lagoon berm, the fire hall, the sewer and infrastructure area, and what was the other one? The other one's to do with the pathway, which we've already received. The MLA is interested in meeting with council at some point, so we'll be doing probably, unless a miracle happens with these shots, we'll be doing at some point a Zoom meeting with the MLA, or unless she wants to come to do like we do a closed meeting in person, but that we'll wait and see what happens on that. But she's been extremely helpful in our requests so far, and we really appreciate that. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. We'll move on to number 12, reports from staff. First report we have is from the Community Services Manager, and this is regarding the flag policy.
Page 9.
On October 19th, 2020, Council received a draft flag policy to address protocols for the handling of the stateless flag that is now flown in the village. At that time, staff was directed to consult with Stateless on the draft policy and also to amend the policy to include that flags will be flown at half-mast upon the death of a local first responder in the line of duty. Stateless has reviewed the draft policy as attached and provided their approval, and the policy was amended according to Council's direction. Recommendation is that flag policy number 136 be adopted and that flags policy number 1.05 be rescinded.
Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Palmer. Discussion. Councillor Hooper.
Yes, I notice when it's come to the flags at half mast, we don't mention our armed forces, which seems to be either someone's missed it out, or would it be under the mayor's direction?
Yeah, I noticed the same thing, Councillor. Any comments from the staff on this?
Yes, Your Worship, this is the CAO. Certainly, the mayor within this policy does have discretion to suggest the lowering of the staff, of the flag in the event of, say, a local member of the armed forces meeting with misadventure or some such. Otherwise, it would be a difficult policy to manage if it applied to all of the armed forces across Canada.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's how I believe we've done it in the past, Councillor, where the mayor has asked for the flag to be lowered if one of our armed forces, especially when the Afghan war was on. Answer your question, Councillor?
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions from Council? So I'll call the question on the recommendation. All in favour? Everybody in favour? Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Yes, Your Worship, we'll move on to number 13, bylaws, and we have a report from the financial officer. This is regarding the 2021-2025 financial plan, bylaw number 1161-2021.
Jones?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to the rest of Council. At the February 16th, 2021 regular Council meeting, the 2021 to 2025 financial plan received second and third reading. Accordingly, the 2021 to 2025 financial plan is attached for Council's consideration, and the recommendation is that the 2021 to 2025 financial plan bylaw number 1161-2021 be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a recommendation. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Palmer. Discussion. Councillor Hooper.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. One's on the transfer from reserves. On the draft financial plan we was given, or was on the agenda last week, the transfer from reserves was 185,000. On this one here, it's 581,000. Am I missing something somewhere along the line?
Jones?
Thank you, Your Worship. During this last 2 weeks, we've been meeting with the auditors on our annual audit, and they had identified that what we'd identified as revenue coming in from the COVID-19 Restart Grant was recognized as this, not what we had it before, so we were added that in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
But the other question I've got is on the property taxes, municipal. It seems to be going up in increments of 60,000. And then we come to 2023, and there's only like a 21,000 increase, and then it goes up. Then, well, it's not 21,000. It's 21,000. Then it goes up 40,000, and then 50,000 again. What is special about 2023?
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to Councillor Hooper and the rest of Council. At that point, we have to estimate what we think there might be continued growth, non-market change in the taxes. And based on the development we know of so far, we're anticipating a slowdown, but that is just an estimate and would be changed as we go further along and should the economy change or continue with growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Any other questions from council?
Nope, it's fine.
No, we're all okay. So I'm ready to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Is that opposed, Councillor Hooper?
As opposed.
Yeah, motion passes. Thank you. So the business, please.
Yes, Your Worship. We'll move on to number 14, questions from the public pertaining to agenda items only.
Are there any questions from the public this evening pertaining to the agenda? Thank you.
Any member of the public who wishes to ask a question should now use the raise hand feature. Participants will be called on one at a time, and you will have the option to unmute yourself when called on. There are no questions, Your Worship.
No questions? Thank you very much. Being no questions from the public, I will now call for the adjournment. Moved by Councillor Palmer, seconded by Councillor Piper. All in favor? Thank you very much, folks. Nice to see you all. Stay safe.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.